What is
Bob,
next for Terence?
Thank you.
What is next for Terence, Bob?
What?
What is next for Terence?
For
Crawford.
we're discussing that, and you know, there are a lot of guys that he can fight that are interesting. There's a lot of 140 pounders that want to go up to 147, like maybe Ramirez, maybe Prograis, maybe a number of guys that we've been talking to. Maybe Zepada would be a hell of a fight.
Wow, bad news for Terence Bud Crawford. According to his current promoter, Bob Arum, he's saying that Crawford might be fed one of a few options, all coming from the 140-pound division, and not even the undisputed 140-pound champion. Stay tuned to this video. I got to talk about this. We working. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel. Listen, you guys got to subscribe to the channel, share the content. If you're liking it, hit the like button, engage with the content, show the YouTube algorithm that you approve of it. Hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss out. You get post notifications when I go live and I drop heat like this. Without further ado, let's get into the topic. You see Google, you type in Terence Crawford's name, front page, top stories. These are when you search Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford out in the cold without Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence. Ironically, this is what I've been saying for quite some time. Check the videos. It's not looking great for the Terence Crawford situation regarding his next foe. And then Terence Crawford's options for next fight: Regis Prograis, Jose Ramirez, and Jose Zepada. And finally, Errol Spence. I told Al Heyman I want Crawford after Pacquiao, or I'm just moving to 154. Man, the walls are closing in for Terence Crawford. What will he do? There were reports that his contract with Top Rank ends in October. You know, that's the information that is out there. And I can't wait to see what's next for Terence Crawford. Again, he's a great fighter. His options are looking bad. At the end of the day, I made a video about this. Bob Arum is saying Crawford could fight one of a few 140 pounders. Let's really analyze this. Regis Prograis is the best name, in my opinion, out of that short list of fighters. But even in that, Regis Prograis lost the World Boxing Super Series against Josh Taylor, who just became undisputed. Bob Arum also said in the interview that Josh Taylor is fighting Jack Catterall. So Josh Taylor says he wants to fight against Terence Crawford, but we know that's not going to be next because Bob Arum is saying the mandatory is Jack Catterall, and we know how boxing plays the politics games. If boxing promoters want to make a mandatory, they'll get in touch with the sanctioning body, make sure the person's ranked, make sure it's enforced, and push for that. We see it. If you notice a pattern in boxing, anytime the mandatory is someone you don't really want to see, like Triple G versus Camille Sesmeta, Triple G cannot have no guys ain't go on. Golovkin versus Dominique Wade, Canelo versus Avni Yildirim. Coincidentally, all these fights always get made. No problems, no questions asked. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But then when you ask Triple G to fight a tough mandatory, Derevyanchenko or Jermall Charlo, or you ask Canelo, get the out of here, it's my night. Payday, you want payday, I know that. When you ask Canelo to fight Jermall Charlo, and that's his mandatory, conveniently he becomes the franchise champion. So we know how the politics games works in boxing, and it's unfortunate. So I do believe that Josh Taylor will fight his mandatory, coming off of a decently tough fight with Jose Ramirez. So that leaves Regis Prograis. He's kind of in the free agency, fought on Triller. Last performance was not his fault, but Ivan Redcash stunk up the joint on Triller. And you know, we'll see what he decides to do. His next fight could be on Triller, PBC, anywhere. So the other names now it's starting to get a little bit bothersome. The two Jose's. Now, Jose Zepada and Jose Ramirez fought each other already, and they're 140 pounders. Both guys are coming off of basically losses. I know if you check BoxRec, it will say that Jose Zepada was a guy who beat Hammer and Hank Lundy, but this was on the same card of Josh Taylor, undisputed, his victory versus Jose Ramirez. Go read the comment section, or if you watch the fight, Zepada didn't look good in this fight, you know? So it says unanimous decision win, and this was against Hank Lundy, who has a 31-8-1 record. Also, he lost to Terence Crawford previously. He really lost this fight, in my honest opinion, and I watched the fight, and that's what I seen. So for Crawford, it's looking bad. Like, why would he be fighting? Bob Arum just told you. You heard the clip at the beginning. He said Zepada, that would be maybe a good name. You know, that would be something to make. The fact that Crawford is trying to establish himself at 147 as a top player, the fact that Crawford said he deserves 50-50 split, and he's done more than Errol Spence in his little career, and he deserves 60-40 splits and stuff like that. The fact that Terence Crawford is on the pound for pound list, #1 for some people, it becomes hard to keep him there. How are you going to keep him there? What if Errol Spence knocked out Manny Pacquiao? How can Crawford be #1 with the level of competition varying so much? Crawford, his last fight, Mean Machines and stuff like that. When you say Keith Thurman, Bomac said, Keith Thurman ain't got no damn belt. You say Sean Porter, he gets lowballed. The fight doesn't happen. These fights aren't happening for Crawford. They said, oh, we're going to do Pacquiao. I got some big news. Crawford was in Colorado training. I know people. He was sparring, thinking he was going to fight Pacquiao. But guess what? Surprise, surprise. The person that's truly fighting against Pacquiao, none other than man down, Errol Spence. So I have no idea. It's almost to the point where it appears to me that Bob Arum has just become reserved and okay with the fact that we have to overpay Crawford, and we're not liking it. So we're not going to overpay his B-side opponent because he doesn't generate money like that. So he's just going to fight whatever and allow Crawford. It's like they're allowing Crawford's profile to just dip. And, you know, it is what it is. When this fight was announced, Errol Spence said, blame Bob, #blame Bob, if you go look at the post. And it's getting harder and harder to make a case for Terence Crawford. Again, you can say you see the definite skills, which we all see, but the names, a bunch of 140 pounders who haven't accomplished anything, he's not having the same success getting names that are desired for the fans and for his legacy that he had at 135 and 140 at the new weight class. So it's, you know, the fact that Bob Arum is talking about him fighting against 140 pounders, some of which are coming off losses or perceived losses, that can't be good. And I need you guys in the comment section. I've been saying the same thing over and over. I am here to speak the truth. That's it. I have no beef with none of these guys, but I profess my due diligence to tell y'all the truth. And truthfully speaking, Crawford is not getting none of the fights that would make him surpass Errol Spence. You could argue who would win, Crawford, Errol Spence. We don't know none of that until they actually clash, lock horns, and fight. What we do know is Errol Spence is doing much heavier lifting, and the PBC, Al Heyman, are securing the bigger fights. You know, who wins Crawford versus Spence? I don't even care about that, because to even make that happen, things have to happen. Negotiations. Crawford has to come to the table and be like honest and give himself an honest assessment and inventory of where he's at. I have no hope for Spence and Crawford based on what I've heard from Crawford, because what he said doesn't sound to me to be realistic. He's saying he wants an equal split and stuff like that, but Errol Spence is the one fighting undefeated Mikey Garcia after Mikey incessantly called him out, unifying with Sean Porter, gets in a bad wreck, survives, does physical therapy, still has a better fight. Coming off of a wreck, Crawford doesn't have a win better than Errol Spence post-wreck fights. It's that simple. Danny Garcia is a more respected guy in boxing than anybody that Crawford has pretty much. If you look at Danny Garcia's resume, comparatively speaking, at the time they fought and everything, Danny Garcia has more, more attribute. And then now it's really a wrap because Pacquiao, we know Pacquiao's at the top, in terms of accomplishments and 8 division champions and stuff like that. So it's just really looking like Crawford is almost complacent, and just like he's even said, I'll fight whoever they give me. And so he's just content getting, whatever his deal is, $5 million, getting poor, in my opinion, poor promotion for his fights. They promote Inouye, Lomachenko, and Tyson Fury far better. They do like little specials, blood, sweat, and tears, and behind the scenes BTS. Crawford, you don't even see nothing. Like when he was fighting Kell Brook, what did we even hear? Why did they put this fight with Khan on pay-per-view? It's just so many questions. And for whatever reason, everybody seems to see this except for Terence Crawford. Bob Arum's throwing him under the bus. I'm losing money on this kid every time he goes to fight. So all in all, the fact that his name is being mentioned with a ton of 140 pounders, to me, that doesn't look good. So it's going to be a pivotal move to see what his next move is. Does he stay with Bob Arum? He's about 33, 34 years old, terrific fighter, but boxing, you have to wiggle. You know what I'm saying? Part of it is what you can get, what your team can get for you, the fights, putting your foot down. Like Teofimo even, he put his foot down at a younger age, and now he's getting treated with a little bit more respect or bigger pays. Like, just look at it. Terence Crawford had to kick ass since the Gamboa fight, take fights on like a 2-week notice with Bradis Prescott to get the amount of money that he's getting. Teofimo went to Triller and they said they were giving him $6 million. He gets the lion's share of that, and he's only like 20 something. So it looks like Teofimo, love him or hate him, he's playing the game. And then now Top Rank restructured his deal. But beyond that, furthermore, Teofimo, let me see how young he is. Let me check this out. So Crawford, let's look at it. Crawford been around since the Gamboa fight. So Crawford is 33 years old, Bud Crawford, right? The Gamboa fight was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Boom. 2014. You guys see it on the screen, right? So he's been around since, like, known about. That's the fight that kind of put him on. 2014. And he turned pro. What year did he turn pro? It doesn't say, but whatever. I can look like that. 2008, he turned pro. Versus Teofimo is not 33 years old. I know that for a fact. And he's already gotten the Nakatani win that has aged great. Lomachenko's next opponent. Then he knocked out Richard Comey. That was a solid test. Ryan Garcia might fight him next. All right, Teofimo only has 16-0 record, and he turned pro 8 years. Look at that. 8 years after. 8 years after. 8 years after, and he's already renegotiating and amending his contract. They're going to put him on pay-per-view. If they put him on pay-per-view, it'll probably be like Lomachenko rematch or something, which would be better than this fight being on pay-per-view. Crawford and Amir Khan at the particular given time it was on. Just look at how different fighters are being treated. Tyson Fury with Top Rank, since he's been with them, he has some tune-up fights, but he has some main event fights. He's making a lot of money, and he got another Wilder fight coming up. Crawford is the only one in that age group that seemingly he can't get nothing. And again, the two people he said he wanted, he's not getting them next, and they're actually fighting each other. Bad look. Use my link in the description. Let me know what you guys think of Crawford versus Prograis, Zepada, or even Jose Ramirez, two of which really should be coming off of losses. I don't see Bud staying. I don't see how that's going to be good. And there's only one place for him to really go to get the big fights. And we all know what that is. If he chooses that, that's on him if he decides that. But we know what the logical choice is. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Use my link in the description to get TubeBuddy, an awesome way to make money on this YouTube platform like yours truly. Click the link, TubeBuddy. Let me know what you guys think of this Bud news. We working.